Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Mastering Local Marketing Podcast. I'm Jim Deedlow, and he is
Matt Hansen.
Matt Hansen. He is a professor here at PNW, Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana, digital marketing. I'm the owner of some local media and have been selling ads and buying ads and that kind of stuff for 40 years or so. We want to go right in here on episode 59 or 60.
59. We're at 59 today, yeah.
Yeah, episode 59. If you want a graduate level education in digital marketing, I would say you need to listen to about 10 or 12 of these podcasts. We're going to go right into this one, and we're going to learn how to pitch a local influencer for free collaboration. Doesn't matter where you're at, where you're listening, and we do have people that pick this up around the globe, and some of the stuff we talk about doesn't necessarily directly apply, but the principles apply, and that basically in every area there are local influencers. Define that first, will you, Matt?
Yeah, so when we talk about influencers, it's somebody that is online on social, that is really they have a following, people trust them, and we're not necessarily talking about millions of followers, but we are talking about the people that have thousands of followers, local followers and such. So this stemmed from a conversation I was having last night with my daughter, and she was talking about one of her girlfriends that she hangs out with and how she posts all these different videos on TikTok. And, it was kind of interesting just having the conversation with her because she was talking about they had AP scores come out recently, and one of her girlfriends had posted something about she was opening her AP scores and she made a joke that she got a 2, right, on something. It's out of 5. And the way that she responded to it, I'm looking for my 5, and then she gets a 2, and it was kind of a joke video that she had done. And she basically, my daughter said she had 55,000 people that had viewed it in the first week. So, it's kind of funny that something as simple as a little skit like that can go off the deep end, right? I was watching another one yesterday, local, 2 kids basically, and they were betting and trying to double things, and I won't get into the details of it, but they had 170,000 views on it just in the first 24 hours. So there's all these different accounts out there. We call them influencers because they have following. People are watching, waiting for the next video. And I think we all have our favorites that we look at.
Can I give you one?
Yeah, go ahead. Region
News Source. A guy named here locally, Paul Goddard, started up a little news, breaking news site. I own the local radio and the local news, and the sports network is kind of our big thing. And we stream sports, but we do a little bit of news here and there. But I didn't want the breaking news, and so I kind of say, hey, man, this is what you need to do. He's got 204,000 followers now.
Right.
And please, if you're listening to the podcast, go like his page on Facebook at Region News Source. But he is a major influencer now and is using that through the summer months towards festivals. Mm-hmm. That's who he's partnering with, and that is a very powerful source to get people to the festivals.
Right.
What were you going to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, I know exactly who you're talking about. My wife shares a bunch of things that she sees from him. So, I don't necessarily follow him, but his influence is actually coming to me through my family. So that's what we're talking about today is literally there are influencers out there. There are people that are being followed, and they don't necessarily have to be a national influencer or an international influencer. There are local people that have significant following. So that's what we're talking about today is how do we find those individuals and how do we do collaboration with them? Is there something that we can do from a business standpoint where those individuals are promoting our product, promoting our service, our business out to their followers in some way, shape, or form?
So in that instance, I haven't necessarily talked too deeply with Paul about this, but a little bit. He partners with the festival, mm-hmm. and there are plenty here in Northwest Indiana in the summer. It's awful weather, like 8 months out of the year. So we pack 12 months of life into about 3. And he partners with them and goes to the festival and puts it in between the posts on breaking news. And there are, there's certain perks he gets, like, tickets and that kind of stuff. Maybe cash, I'm not really sure. Mm-hmm. But he puts it on the feed. So those festivals are now seeking him out to partner as a local influencer. Why would a business and a local influencer that isn't Paul Goddard, why would you look for that person?
I think you said it with Paul, right? That he might get tickets to the event. If there's a concert, I know we have a ton of concerts going on in our area over the next couple weeks, and even in the past couple weeks.
If you guys don't know, we're one day away from Pierogi Fest, which is one of the largest festivals in the Midwest. And the Bouchas came in here, and I think I wiped off all the red lipstick off my face. They come in there and they kiss me on my morning show. So if you're watching and it looks funky, like, dude, he has lipstick on his head, that was why. But that would be one of the many festivals around here.
Right, but that's exactly what we're talking about with influencers. So you're on air, you're streaming your content. They come in and they're all, promoting the Pierogi Fest. I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about here. So even on the flip side, if you're giving somebody tickets to a concert or something just for them to promote the event, I mean, that's a collaboration. That can be a free collaboration. I mean, what does a ticket cost you to provide, right? There's a bunch of different ways to do this. You see a lot of people giving out new product. You see a lot of collaborations where you're doing different events together. There's a lot of collaborations where you maybe you're doing photo shoots or whatever it may be, but it doesn't have to cost you anything, right? So 2 tickets to an event, it doesn't cost you anything other than the fact that the opportunity cost of not selling those 2 seats. But I think not selling those 2 seats and getting Paul's 200,000 people is much more valuable than selling those 2 seats. So that's what I mean by finding that free collaboration between influencers and you. See what works for them, and obviously partner up in some capacity. But what are they looking for? What is the one pain point that they have, or what is the one thing they want that you can provide, and then you just do a trade-off at that point?
So one of the things that we have talked about is the sales funnel. And we'll go back to it because you may just be finding this podcast and you haven't gone through the whole educational process here. But if I can succinctly put it, the sales funnel is a 3-step Hansen funnel. Is at the top is awareness, in the middle is consideration, and at the bottom, I call it the close. He calls it other things, but awareness, consideration, close. And that awareness, in terms of somebody that is a social media influencer, they have reach, right? So can you transfer the reach into awareness on the sales funnel? I mean, that's really what you're looking for.
That's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to reach new audiences. Again, I was sitting down last night with a client of mine, and they were asking, how do we get more people to know about us? And we were just brainstorming different things. I had another client that I was talking to yesterday that uses a service called Hummingbirds, which is basically you can find local influencers and pay them. So that's a paid service. But you find local ones in different markets. You can do the entire U.S. or you can do a specific market, and they'll find the small influencer that you can collaborate with. So, I mean, there's a variety of different ways to do this, but all in all, what you're trying to do is generate awareness through audiences that you may not have, or that may not have heard of you already. The client I was talking to last night, we were talking about, typically you have a small business has 10 to 30% awareness. We were joking that they probably have about 5, and they were saying we'll be lucky if we have 5 because they don't do a lot of marketing. But again, we're working with them, we're promoting them. One of the things that they're doing is they actually have partnered up with an Olympic coach for what they're doing. So we're tying some of that in there. But that's an influential person right there. The fact that you have an Olympic coach that is coming in and training 6 to 12-year-olds on different sports. So find look for what's out there, try to understand what influencers are out there. And I know everyone's probably going, well, how do I do that, right? Like, how do I find these individuals? And the first thing that I would say is go out there on the social channels and just do a quick search. Search for your local area. We're in Northwest Indiana, so you can search Northwest Indiana. You can search NWI for Northwest Indiana. You can search Chicago. I mean, you'll start to uncover those individuals that are posting. And I know in our area, we see a lot of people that are doing reviews. So it's restaurant reviews, event reviews, park all these different things, right? And they're getting roughly, I would say, probably 20, 30,000 views on each one of these videos. Great, right? Like, wouldn't you want to call them and say, hey, we'd love to have you in, come into our restaurant or whatever it may be. So to get 20,000 views, I mean, if you're putting dollars into it on the ad side, that's going to cost you a few dollars, right? Not a ton, but a few dollars. But wouldn't you? It's more authentic when you have somebody like a review account that goes around the area and reviews different things. I think that's
and that's all you really got to do, and go and find out, who's doing what in your community. We talked about local events. Now, when you go to the influencer and you're like, all right, hey, you got this going on, and usually they're not, they're just some person that put something out and it kind of caught fire, and they don't have a lot of people coming to them, even if they might have a significant amount of followers and that kind of thing. But once you get it all set up, what do you ask them to pitch? I mean, how do you craft that pitch?
Yeah, I mean, there's a variety of ways, like I said. If you're an influencer, or if you're, you're just providing some content. I mean, yeah, there are people that go out there and say, I want to be an influencer. And I joke about this. We actually had a summer camp for high schoolers, and when we positioned it one way, it didn't get a ton of following. When we said, hey, do you want to be an influencer? This is this digital marketing camp. It filled up instantly, right? So it's a positioning thing. But an influencer or somebody that is online is looking for content to post. So if you can make it easier for them to provide content, they're going to listen up, right? So think of it in terms of you have a, let's call it just a clothing store, right, that provides high-end clothing. You tell them, we'd love to do a photo shoot with you. Come on in. We'll provide the photographer if you want and the clothes, and we'll give you all of this content. I mean, who wouldn't want to go do that, right? Like, go do dress up for a day. But there are all these different ways that you can take what you offer and provide it to them. Maybe it's a gift box that you want to send to them, right? And they review it and doing the opening, and we see a lot of that online. Send them dinner one night and just say, hey, send them a note, send them dinner, your best meal, whatever it is, and hopefully they'll do a nice little review. Just ask for the review. But there's all different ways to do this, and there's all different companies, and I know we're talking to pretty much a huge spectrum of different companies here. But, these people are looking for content because they're always generating that content. So it's sometimes, we do this podcast, and every single week we come up with 2 different topics to discuss, and sometimes they just flow. And then there are sometimes, like last night, I was joking, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, what are we going to talk about today? And, there's so much content that we can talk about, and there's so many people that we can talk about, but it's sometimes easier if somebody were to come to you or I and say, hey, I think on your show you should talk about this. And there are people that are reaching out to us, and I'm reaching back out to them that do that. So, I wouldn't consider us influencers, but we do have an audience, and people are trying to get on the podcast, and that's great, right? If I've reached out to you, by the way, and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you, please get back in touch with me. There's been a few of those that haven't gotten back, but a side note. But what I'm saying is it's all about the content. So an influencer is looking for the easiest way to develop content, something that is unique. They get approached often with the same thing over and over and over again. So if they're not interested in your product, right? So like if somebody sends me a bar of soaps to review, I'm going to look at that and go, I don't think so, right? That's not me. If you're going to send me something with sports or, or marketing or design or something along those lines, yeah, I'd be happy to look at it. And so it's got to be tailored. You can't have this generic send out to everyone and say, hey, I've got this soap I want you to review, and it's irrelevant to the influencer. So that's really the interesting part, because a lot of people will just do this generic. They just keep sending it out, and they really don't build the rapport with the influencer, and they're going to ignore you at that point.
What do you got to watch out for?
I think the biggest thing is there are scams out there. I mean, that's one thing I would definitely watch out for.
What about spamming the generic products? I mean, you see that a lot.
Yeah. Don't do that. I mean, build rapport with the person that you're going after, right? So you get this all the time. You get an email, hey, I'd love to do some things with you. And then you don't respond, and then it just disappears, right?
Can I address that?
Please do.
I had a big we're going to do it in the next podcast. There was an opportunity that had come in my way, and I'm like, it's just me and a bunch of mostly students and recent grads, so I got to make these decisions. So I asked my peer here to, hey, man, can you help me out with this decision? And he looks at me, and I lay it out, and he goes, people ask me all the time how I do all that I do. He's a professor. He runs all sorts of departments and stuff there. And he also has this business where he has these like big clients. The guy's busy as ever. Oh, get out. He goes, here's how I do all that I do. I say no to 90% of the stuff that comes my way. And that has stuck with me in terms of marketing. Because there's I've got a pretty good growing sports network, and I'm learning to say no.
Yeah.
And that is applying what has been on this podcast. And we're going to talk about that in the next episode, is how do you apply what is in this podcast. But if you're an influencer, they've got to learn to say no also.
Right.
And they've got to learn to say no, especially with people who just want to come in, use their audience, and leave.
Yeah.
What about following up and nurturing that relationship with the influencer?
So I'm going to give you an example. It's pulling off of the influencer idea a little bit, but let me give you this example. So I have this opportunity that I talk to people about, and it's the digital marketing competition that we do. And I sit down and I'll have a conversation with people, and people have become so cold to being sold on things that they just push away, right? So I have this competition that I run, and we have just under 200 teams that work on your project for 3 to 4 months. It's this amazing opportunity.
From all over the world.
From all over the world. I mean, I was just joking yesterday. Ireland has come into the mix. We have 2 schools that just entered from
and
there.
And we host it right here in the same studios that we're doing the podcast.
Yeah.
But and let's just give the quick plug.
Yeah.
Where do they go to find any information on the digital marketing competition?
Yeah, so it's just digitalmarketingcompetition.com.
All right.
And you can find what we do there. But here's what I'm saying is I will have conversations all through the years with different companies. And I sit down and I explain to them what we call it the DMC, what the DMC is. And these large companies have been pitched on so many different things, right? So think of it, as a large company being the influencer here. They've been pitched on so many things that they gloss over it, right? It seems too good to be true. I'm not going to pay attention to it. I don't know who you are, right? So I have this competition, and it's funny because I will talk to companies, large companies and small companies, and, they look at me like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And I go, I don't think you understand what I'm talking about here, right? So a separate company that, or a separate competition that is being run this year, the client has spent $500,000 on this thing, okay, for less teams to participate. And I'm going to these companies and I'm telling them all about it, right? And we've developed this great pitch deck and all this other stuff. And now we're 5 years in and it's starting, you can see it starting to turn over, right?
Awareness.
People awareness, right? People are starting to understand it. We've got some pretty decent sized players that are filling competitions moving forward. But what I'm saying is the large companies, the small companies, the companies that we're presenting to this opportunity have gone like they gloss over because they think it's too good to be true, right? So when you're talking to an influencer, you're talking to somebody, like you've got to break through. You can't just send an email. Like I can't just send an email to let's say Pepsi and say, hey, we've got this great opportunity for you to be part of this. Here's what it entails, and go. It's going to fall on deaf ears, right? And
1 to 2% response, right?
Right. And it's funny because I've done this as well. I still do this sometimes, and I think to myself, all this time, and we got to get to it, and all this other stuff. But it's all about relationships. You've got to build a relationship with them. I mean, they're local people. Go see them, talk to them, get them on the phone.
Tell them how great they are.
Right, exactly.
I mean, people love praise.
Right. You've got 28,000 people following you, and you're a local person. This is
people
great.
love that somebody notices your success.
Right.
And sometimes they're not always getting people coming. Many of them will, especially if you get up into triple digits or above 50,000 maybe. But below that, they're not getting that many people coming to them, right?
Right. I mean, I love the ones that have 20,000 followers.
Yep.
I mean, they are prime for this sounds bad, prime for the picking, but they want to be noticed at that point. They've done a really good job of growing their audience, and now you can start to say, hey, you're doing really well. I would love to partner with you on something. I've got this of value. Let me provide it, and we'll work together, right? So, yeah.
This is the episode 59, how to pitch a local influencer for free collaborations. Please go to wherever you get your podcasts. Take a listen. You could also take a watch on YouTube and some other places. Anything else you want to add, Matt?
No, I think just one other thing that I don't think people realize is go to some of the community groups on Facebook and see who the people are that are posting over and over and over again. You'll quickly realize who the influencers are of that group. Get in touch with them. It's a sneaky way to do it.
He's Matt Hansen. I'm Jim Delo. Until next time, see you later. Hey, everybody. I am Jim Diedlow. He is Matt Hansen. Matt, how are you?
I am good.
It is episode number 60 of Mastering